Greetings, guys and ghouls, and welcome back to the podcast where we talk about all things spooky. Dial H for horror.
I am your ghostess with the mostest, Shay.
And I'm your favorite final girl, Gina.
All right.
And it's nice to be back after a week off.
Yes, it's nice to be back after a week off. We've got a pretty stacked episode for you guys this week. Probably one of our last few stacked episodes for a while. We are going to be reviewing a movie, Grave Encounters. If you saw the title, you know. But we're also going to be giving you guys a little bit of updates about what's going to happen with the podcast this coming month. And then also our HHN Halloween Horror Nights 32 tips and tricks for this year. Because it is right around the corner, like 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
opening night. 2 weeks away. And I think like the week after we're going. So...
yeah,
the week or like either the week after or the week after that, one of the two is when we're going. I'm not sure, but it's going to be wild. I cannot wait. I'm super excited for this year's event. So yeah, let's get started. So just to kind of do some housekeeping stuff before we get into the movie review, we are going to be going on hiatus again for a brief period of time because we're moving. Wait, I should have been on this one. Yes, we are moving next month, beginning of next month. So we will not be able to record for a little bit. We are probably going to be, our next video you're going to see is probably going to be us at Halloween Horror Nights. We're going to have some fun with it. We're going with a big group of people. It's going to be a good time. So we'll probably make a little video just to show you guys what we did. And then maybe after that, we'll probably do like a follow-up where we talk about what our favorite things that we saw are. I know Gina's probably going to be going more than I will be going, but you know, I'm hoping I can go at least one more time just so I can hit things I might not get to do the first time. But
we'll put it this way. I'll be doing a food review, probably.
You're going to have to hold it down. I did see that they had that thing that they're doing right now where they're reviewing the food early. If you pay like a certain price, you get like to try the food early. Yeah, it's crazy. This is the first year they've done that. And I'm super jealous that I'm not there to do it because I think it ends right before the event starts. But yeah, they are doing an overview of the food. And it's like a little bit, they have the... I don't want to go into it right now. We can get into it later, but they have some really cool stuff. But yeah, so we are going to do a Halloween Horror Nights vlog. We'll probably do one after, just kind of recapping the event and how much fun we had, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and, you know, what we recommend.
And I think that's a good moment to say as well for the people who are listening on like Spotify, Google Podcasts, like to see the video, you know, check us out on YouTube, which is Dial H for Horror Podcast. I believe.
Yes, correct.
So if you want to see the video of us at Halloween Horror Nights, you can check us out over there. And then I'm assuming if we do a follow-up, that will be available as a podcast to listen to and a video.
Yes, so you can pick or choose, whichever one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then just one more quick update about the podcast. After we are settled in, after we've moved, we are going to be going down to 2 uploads a month. This is generally just because we're getting into the holiday season. It's going to be a little bit chaotic and crazy. And then obviously we just moved and everything like that. And also because I know for me personally, I wanted to try to refocus things with the podcast as far as what we cover. I feel like sometimes we cover movies that people, you know, haven't seen or haven't heard of. So they kind of avoid watching it because they're like, oh yeah, I'm not interested in that. So we are going to have our 2 uploads a month. The first one will be a review of a movie that has recently come out or has recently went viral on social media, if we haven't already talked about it. So anything that's coming out in theaters, we've got a stacked few months as far as horror goes.
Yeah.
Next month, we've got Saw 10. The month after that, we've got The Exorcist Believer and Five Nights at Freddy's. So we've got stuff to talk about. And then the other video we're going to be doing is a new series called Retro Rewind, which I have a hard time saying. But it's going to be us talking about movies from anywhere from the 2000s and further back, talking about older movies that we love, talking about movies we may have never seen, talking about more obscure horror movies that from like, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s that maybe people skip. And even talking about some popular ones, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. There's nothing wrong with us having a little retrospective every now and then. It's fun, and I think that'll be really fun to do, you know, going forward in the future for
And I
horror
think what makes
movies.
those movies so iconic too is the fact that to this day we're all still talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why not add to the conversation here in Dial H?
Exactly. So we just wanted to give you a few updates about what's going to go on with the podcast after we're done with our move. But yeah, we've got a movie to review.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We
I really enjoyed this movie. I'm so happy you told me about it.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it because I enjoyed this movie too. I watched it twice. I watched it back to back. I watched it by myself at 1 a.m. A few weeks ago,
Yes.
and then I watched it the very next night with my roommate. It was like back to back. It was definitely a better experience watching it with my roommate because we were just cracking jokes the whole time. But watching it by myself, I was like, "Yo, this movie's like kind of messing with my mind a little bit here." We'll get into it. Yeah, so the movie that we are talking about today is the movie Grave Encounters, which is a movie for a very long time. I know that I have heard people rave about this movie as one of the best found footage movies that have come out in the 2010s. It's always very highly ranked on lists involving like found footage horror and everything. And yeah, people have always said it was a really good movie, and I can say it did not disappoint for me.
Not at all. No, I really enjoyed this one. I remember hearing a little bit about it back in the day, but I of course never watched it. So when you brought it up, I was like, and it's on Shudder?
Mm-hmm.
Even better.
Yes. So it is available on Shudder with a paid subscription, or it's also available on Tubi for free if you don't mind commercials. It's been available on Tubi for a while, and I think both of them, because there is Grave Encounters 2, which I still haven't watched. I need to watch it. Both of them are available on both Shudder and on Tubi for free on
What's
Tubi.
funny is I actually have the second movie queued up on my TV
Oh,
right here
nice.
to watch when we're done recording because
I might watch it. Yeah, I might watch it when I get
yeah.
home later. Like, if my roommate is like wants to watch something, I might be like, "Let's watch Grave Encounters 2. Why not?
Let's
Just for
just
fun.
do it.
Just for
Because I was
funsies."
reading the synopsis and it said that it explained a lot more of the lore and stuff. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I ended the first movie with questions, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping this one explains some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just here for some more found footage goodness.
Exactly. And I've heard good things about that one too. I have heard that one is also highly praised. So
It's got a good rating on here.
Mhm.
4 out of 5 skulls on Shudder. And then the first movie has the 5 out of 5 skulls on Shudder.
Yeah. So this movie was actually released on September 9th, 2011. Because it's an found footage movie, most of the actors are unknowns. I kind of did some research and most of them really haven't been in much except for the character of Matt, who was also in Riverdale. Everybody else, they haven't really been in anything that's notable that you would recognize them from. The directors were Colin Minahan and Stuart Ortiz. And then the critical reception of this was surprising on both Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, and even worse on Google. I think on Google it had like a 2.9. Let me double check that. Let me fact check myself before I say that. It didn't have a good rating on Google either. I was kind of shocked considering
fact check
how
yourself before you fact wreck yourself.
Okay.
That sounded better in my mind. I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying to see they don't have the rating on here. Hold up. But they did when I looked. They did when I was doing my research for this.
That's fine. That means that we can spread whatever misinformation we want.
Just put Google rating, see if that comes up. Oh no, it had a 3.9. Sorry, 3.9 out of 5. The critical reception on Rotten Tomatoes was 69%. And then on IMDb, it was 6.1 out of 10. So all in all, it seems like people thought this movie was mid. Which is very strange because I've only ever heard people rave about this movie. So was very shocked when I looked at the ratings. I was like, whoa. Okay, so they thought it was mid. So then real quick, the synopsis of this is the crew of a ghost hunting TV show hole up in an abandoned psychiatric hospital hoping to catch some spooks on camera. A scenario that can only ever end badly, and it does. So let's start off with the things we liked about the movie.
Yes. I'm going to start just with the premise of the movie alone, with it being a ghost adventure show, and we're just watching like some of the unedited footage of that. And I told you before we started recording, I was going to tell you something that I think I never told you before.
Okay.
I have a dream of having my own ghost adventure show.
No, you've never told me that before.
I want this made me want to do it even more. I want to be the host of my own ghost adventure show. So the name of the show is going to be, "Oh my God, what was that?"
Oh my God, what was that? Oh my God, what is that? What is that?
What is that? There's like an episode of South Park where they like make fun of ghost adventures a little bit, and like the whole time they're just going, "Oh my God, what was that?" There's even like a part where like they're like trembling because they're scared, and they're like, "What's happening? What is that? Why am I shaking?" And then like one of them's like peeing themselves, and he's like, "What is this warm liquid going down my leg? What is that?" And
what
like
is that?
honestly, I think I could really like bring a lot. And then we discussed our own version of a ghost show just
we
before.
Did. Yeah.
And just to tap into that, I really think this is the direction I want to take "Oh my God, what was that?" to. But now we're gonna call it Boo Thang. It's a spinoff. It's a spinoff. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah, it's like a franchise, you know.
Yeah, it's this franchise. So it's the other show I host where I'm trying to I'm meeting up with some single ghosts, and I'm trying to hook them up with single living people, and
who want to be with ghosts.
Yeah, who want to be with ghosts, because there's a market for it. Come on.
There is, yeah. There was somebody that was on like Dr. Phil, I think. It was one of those shows like that was like, "I'm married to a ghost."
And then that's when I said my thing where I was like, "Yeah, this is Edmonton. He died in 1864, and he's single and ready to mingle. He may not have a head, but he has a big heart."
He died of dysentery on the Oregon Trail. Finding love on the Oregon Trail.
This is his death site, aka where we're having our first date. We're gonna hang some Christmas lights out here.
Exactly. So
it's gonna be great.
I definitely loved the fact that they were like a Ghost Adventures parody.
Yes.
The minute it started, I started laughing because like I just remember I was so obsessed with Ghost Adventures growing up.
Yes.
And like when I got older and I realized how fake that show was, like it made me like so mad because I was so like I bought into everything that they told me. Every single. But then like I was actually watching Danny Gonzalez, another YouTuber.
Yeah.
He stayed at the Shining Hotel, the one that inspired The Shining. And he actually found out from some of the employees about how fake the Ghost Adventures episode was, how they were saying that they kept mattresses in this one shed that people had died on, and they're like, "No, those are just like extra mattresses that like if we need to swap a mattress out, like that's what they're for. Nobody's died on those." Like,
why throw away the mattress when you can just keep the like corpse mattresses like in a shed?
Exactly. And that's what Zach Bagins was saying. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's like, hey, he built an empire off that. That's really cool. Good for him.
Get your bag, queen.
Get your bag. He made a very entertaining show, but they hit all the beats with this movie of that show. The whole like, is anybody out there? Can you make contact? But then I also love the fact that they showed the frustration that the host had because he really wanted to find a ghost. And like he was getting tired of having to fake everything, and he was like, they're like, maybe this will be real, and then like when something would happen that wasn't real, he was like, oh, like you get all frustrated, like
the part where he's like, this place isn't even haunted.
Yeah, or like when something would happen but he didn't catch it, like with the hair in the hallway, and he was like, pull on my hair.
Yeah, and I'm like, girl, please.
It's like holding the camera at his head, like, pull on my hair.
I legit thought that they were gonna like turn the camera back to him and he'll have like a wig on. He's like, pull my hair, come on.
I could see, I mean, like the desperation. So I definitely loved that aspect of it. Because I used to watch like Ghost Adventures. I was so into those types of shows.
Yeah.
Even like The Haunting, I think it was called like The Haunting in America, where they would show you all the most haunted places in America. And then they'd have the medium go in there. I still remember the episode with the I think it was it's the house where there was like a famous axe murder, not the Lizzie Borden house. It was another one that they say, I think it's the Velisca house, and that's what it's called. And it's like one of the most famous murder sites ever. And they had a medium walk in there, and like she was like, I'm sorry, I can't, and she turned around and walked back out. Like she literally walked in, and she walked into one of the rooms where like one of the murders took place, and she goes, oh no, I'm sorry, I can't. She turned around and walked out. Like I still have that vivid memory of that scene.
Like, isn't it funny how TV mediums are the most like scared people in the world?
I know. I'm like
get a real medium in there. They'll be like, oh, this is what my career, I've been working up to this. Like, I'm ready. You know what I mean?
So scared of everything.
Like, I want to explore this. Like, TV mediums are like, oh, I dipped my toe into the living room, and now I'm just terrified, and I have to leave. Oh,
I feel that energy. That energy.
And the ghosts are probably feeding her like a lot of really good vibes, and she's not going for it.
Exactly.
It's ghost vibes.
Exactly. And I will say this. I performed in one of the most haunted theaters in the United States, and I felt nothing. Just saying. One of the most haunted theaters in the United States. I was in a room where in the episode of Ghost Adventures, they were in the dressing room and a ghost pulled the girl's hair. I was in that room changing. I was back there eating. I was eating chicken wings. I guess the ghost was just like, hey, you know what? You're black. It's fine. I ain't gonna mess with you. Eat your wings, girl.
The ghost was like, damn, that looks good. Honestly, I'm just happy you brought it back here so I could smell it, you know?
Exactly. So, I mean, it was still cool. It was really awesome to perform at that theater. And we did get a free ghost tour at the end when we met the owner of the manager of the theater. And I realized he was on Ghost Adventures. I was like, wait a minute, I know you. Because I didn't even realize where we were performing. Like, it didn't register with me that we were performing at the Lincoln Theater. I was just like, okay, the Lincoln Theater. And then I saw him. I was like, wait a minute. And he's like, you watched Ghost Adventures? I was like, yes! And he was like, I could take you to all the spots that I showed them stuff. And I'm like, okay. So me and my sister went around to all the spots. It was pretty cool. Except for the staircase. I will say, the spiral staircase, I got bad vibes from that. And then everybody wanted to go up it. And I was like, no. Why are y'all walking up the demon staircase? I don't know what that is, but I don't feel good looking at it.
The demon staircase.
I had a bad vibe looking at that staircase. I don't know what it was about that staircase, but everybody wanted to go up that staircase because they were like, oh, that's the staircase they went up where they saw something scary, and they're trying to walk up it, and I'm like, no, we're not going to go up that staircase. So I did not go up it. I just looked at it from the ground. So...
Well, you know what? I think that's where the first episode of my ghost hunting show is going to take place. Yeah, that's the first episode of Boo Thang, because there's nothing more romantic than taking
theater.
Someone to the theater.
Exactly, to the theater. So back on the Grave Encounters movie.
Yes, sorry, I keep plugging my own stuff.
Okay, Lance.
That's me.
So this movie follows a group of ghost hunters that are, filming at this really, really terrifying, creepy psychiatric hospital. Of course, it has all the same beats as every single movie with psychiatric hospital. They were performing experiments on the patients, and they were abusing the patients until the patients went crazy and uprising, and everybody died, and it was scary. They decide to stupidly lock themselves in there, which was just like, what? Why would you lock yourself in there?
And
padlocks?
I didn't get that part. And like, honestly, the one cameraman, was it CT? I think it's what
TC.
Okay.
TC.
I wanted to call him like CJ the whole time because that's usually how nicknames go, but he went a whole other route with it, which
he said TC.
So TC, he made a good point beginning where he was just like, what if I need to go to the van to get something? Like, you're filming a show. It just didn't seem...
It wasn't like, necessary.
Useful.
It wasn't completely unnecessary. For like, I've seen it used for like scary stories people write on Wattpad. Like,
okay,
that have nothing to do with Grave Encounters, not even like fan,
makes sense.
Just like a random scary story, and then there's just that gif of him being like, oh, and I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I kind of knew when the scares were coming, what they were going to be, but I still jumped at some of them, which is rare because I really only jump if there's a loud noise, as I was explaining to my roommate, because she was saying like, oh, you jumped at the Nun trailer, and I'm like, yeah, because there was a really loud noise in the Nun trailer.
It was
like
jarring.
I was like, it really wasn't even what was on the screen, it was just like a loud boom, and I'm like, oh, I just jumped. That's just like my body's reaction to that. But no, this was like I genuinely jumped at some of the scares. I jumped at the part with the guy running in the hallway like towards him. Again, I knew something was going to come out, but it was just like how quickly he ran out.
It's like, dang, he's booking it.
I was like, whoa. I was like, and then, because you have the point of view shot, it looks like he's running towards you. So you're just like, excuse me, sir, my face.
Damn. Did Usain Bolt die here? Like, I thought he was still alive.
Pretty sure me and my roommate started going, he's a runner, he's a track star. He started doing that when he started running, but yeah, that was like one part that I remember, like it made me jump because I was just like, okay, something's gonna come down the hallway. Oh, I was like, not that fast.
Here he is.
Yeah,
like, right.
I thought he was gonna like just come down like normally, or like he was gonna be creepy crawling. No, he was booking it. He was doing the Get Out run almost.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
He was like
running like it's the end of the This Is America music video.
Even that part before though, when like the he saw the tongue on the floor, I was expecting it to be like one of the people that we didn't find, or like TC or something, because he had vanished.
Yeah, that's who I thought it was gonna be.
And then he points the camera up, and it's like
it's just some dude.
It's like a Spider-Man guy, like in the corner, and he's like, "Rah!"
This dude's over here doing his Grinch impression. The Grinch,
literally.
Or well, no, that's the part where he goes. That would have been funny if they both screamed at each other out of fear.
Yeah, they just screamed back and forth. That would have been great.
That would have been precious.
Absolutely. But I think for me the scariest part of that movie was when they finally got the doors open. And then they realized it was the same hallway, but then when they walked out, the girl was like, guys, and she turned around and it had the word death awaits on there, because in the beginning of the movie, without context it doesn't really sound all that scary, but in the beginning of the movie when they got to the hospital, on the outside of the building there were on the double doors someone had spray painted the words death awaits. So, and they were making fun of that. They were like, oh, yeah, it's not even that scary. That's so stupid. They're making fun of it. And they're like,
that's cheesy.
Yeah, Lance is like, just film it anyways. It'll be cool for some B-roll. So then when they realize that they're basically trapped in the hospital forever, and they walk out into the hallway, they turn around and the double doors from the room they just came from had the words death awaits painted on it. And I was like, ooh, you're screwed. You're screwed. That's it. You're done. Like, just pack it up. Pack it up. Just.
Yeah, that was a cool part. I really liked that part. I was like, ooh, a little callback to the beginning. It proves to me, the viewer, that this was indeed the front door, because they're all doubting it. Like, maybe we're on the other side of the building. And I'm like, oh, what if they are?
It's the front door. Yep. I also liked when they realized that they were stuck in perpetual night. When they looked at because when they kept, I was kind of confused when I was watching it the first time, because they kept saying that the guy who locked them in there, the caretaker, was going to be back in a few hours, and I'm like, it's pitch black out.
Yeah,
I thought he was coming back at 6 a.m. I'm like, well, maybe it's daylight savings time, maybe it's still going to be dark at 6 a.m. And then when
they don't have a lot of light, like windows. The windows have bars on it, so maybe that's why it seems dark.
But when they said it was 8 a.m. and it was still pitch black out, I was like, you're not leaving. None of you are leaving.
Nope, you are just stuck in an infinite void.
Yes, you are a part of the hospital now.
You live here, and you will die here.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I really I enjoyed really all of the scares. What I appreciated the most was how, like, the first, let's say, scare of the movie, where the window opens on its own,
right,
it's kind of like this glitch and the windows suddenly open, and so I was like, they didn't really have the budget, so they've just got to make it look like a ghost was messing with the camera. But then as the movie continues on, the scares are getting better and they're looking more believable now, and I like how it built from almost making you think, oh, it's like a cheesy ghost adventure kind of scare, to becoming something that seems so real. And it was a good use of like how they like built up the ante every time there was a new scare. Like here we're pulling somebody's hair, now we're launching a guy forward and he's like, after being choked by a ghost and everything. So it was cool how they did
stairs.
pushing people down the
Down the
stairs,
stairs.
another one. Yeah.
That was
So
another
it
one
was
that
really
was,
awesome.
yeah, they did a good job with like the scares. I mean, especially for it being like a lower budget film.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with the scares. I mean, I know that the CG on the faces was a little cheesy at times, but like,
Yeah.
it didn't bother me too much. Like, I was okay with it. Um, and I mean, even like I said, even knowing the part with the doctor at the end, even knowing like that image, like it still freaked me out when like the camera panned up and he just was like, "Rah," and his mouth got all wide. I was like, "Geez, come on, dude, what the heck?" I was like, "Why are we doing that?" I was like, "Why are you doing that?" And I definitely like, you know, I just definitely really enjoyed the scares. I think it's very rare that the scares of a movie nowadays actually make me feel any form of discomfort. It's very rare. Usually most of the time I mean, like, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, "Oh, okay." That's the
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's brutal," you know. But that was one that was like, okay, that got under my skin a little bit, or that made me jump. That made me jump a bit for, you know, a minute. Like I said, I watched this movie at 1 a.m. by myself. I was home alone, and I was like, "Yo, I'm a little bit nervous right now to go to bed." I'll explain why when we talk a little bit more about the ending. I'll explain why, because it really wasn't like just the scares. It was just the last shot of the movie that just was like burned into my brain for a while.
Okay.
But
All right, I'm interested.
yeah. So let me see. Actually, oh, that's my next talking point. Actually, so we're gonna talk about the ending of the movie right now.
Oh wait, did we talk about what we didn't like?
No, we'll do that after we're done talking
After this?
about.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. We'll talk about that after. I'm just trying to get the good things that we liked out of the way. So the main character, Lance, he at this point is the last man standing. All of his crew has been either offed or vanished.
Lance is final girl.
He is final girl and he's not having a good time. He's starting to
No.
kind of lose it a little bit. He's lost in these tunnels where they used to take the bodies. He's lost in these tunnels. And you know, he's eating rats, which, bro, that was so wild when he killed the rat and then was just like, I'm like, yo, hold up.
So this was the part that I was saving for the what I didn't like about it. It's a double-edged sword. I actually really like this part, but I hated it. This is the only part that, like, not necessarily scared. Nothing in the movie scared me, but just like bothered me. And I've never watched a horror movie. I've watched some gory stuff. You know, I'm fine with gore. This is the first time I ever actually felt sick watching a horror movie, and I think that's just because how I feel about like rats are dirty. You know, he's in this dirty environment, so I'm thinking more about like the dirt involved in all of this.
It is very gross. Oh no, I just unplugged my ring light. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Give me a second. Technical difficulties. I just literally kicked it and unplugged it.
That's fine. I'll take this moment to drink some water.
Okay. Okay. We back in business now. Yeah, no, that scene was really like gross to watch. Even my roommate was like, "Oh," you know. And the thing is, like, I watched The Walking Dead. We've been rewatching The Walking Dead. I literally watched Daryl eating like squirrels and crap, you know. And I'm like, yo, I'll recoil it. I mean, eating them raw. I'm not talking about cooking them. I watched him like just eating them raw. This was just like, like, excuse me, sir, please do not.
Yeah, because I mean, I've watched, you know, movies and content where people are eating raw animals. I've watched plenty of Bear Grylls in my day, which he's actually eating those bugs and stuff too. But this particular scene, like, I saw the little rat, he was chilling, vibing, and I was like, he's gonna kill that rat. I see how he's sitting, you know, he looks psychotic. And then when he hits it, I'm like, oh, usually they kind of cut away with the animal violence, sometimes. Yeah. Which I'm like, all right, whatever. And then just the way he was just gnawing on that rat like it was a turkey leg at Disney World.
And he was like,
that was the best rat he ever had in his life.
Man's was,
and I actually felt sick. I gagged. And then it was funny because I was talking to my dad for a second after I watched the movie. And I guess he was outside in the hallway outside my door. And he was like, yeah, I heard like a little out of you when that part happened. He's like, I never hear you like react in a horror movie. And I'm like, no, that just really like, that was actually me gagging. I guess I just go, when I gag.
Yeah, it definitely, it kind of shows you the desperation of the situation, you know, that he's just, you know, he's lost, there's no hope, he's alone, and he's hungry. So then he stumbles upon this room, and in the room there's like photos of the experiments that they used to do on the patients. And you know, they're pretty graphic. They're pretty graphic photos. You're like, oh wow, that's terrible things to do with to do. Then he's walking through the room and he finds like stuff for like a satanic ritual, because why not just throw in a little bit of satanic rituals at the end?
It's cute. It's trendy. All the girls are doing it.
It's like when you're playing a horror game and you think it's just like a typical like regular horror game, and then all of a sudden there's like a demonic altar and you're just like, again? Like, can we,
like, for real?
Can we not? Can we just do something a little different? Like, please. Can we be a little bit more original? Can it just be like a ghost or something? Like, simple.
Nah.
But then as he's looking at this demonic ritual, he turns around and there's a doctor, the doctor that had been killed that they talked about in the beginning of the movie. He's performing a lobotomy on a patient with his nurses. And then, of course, that's when they cut away, and then he cuts back, and then the doctor's in front of him, and there's the jump scare where his face gets all distorted. And then you hear the camera falls, and you hear them trying to restrain Lance, and he's screaming, and he's saying, I'm not crazy, I'm not crazy. And then the scene ends, and then it cuts to Lance in the tunnel. He's got blood dripping from his eyes, and then he's got a hole in the side of his head, and he's talking about how he's going to stay in the hospital until he's better. And then he does his famous, this is Lance Preston from Grave Encounters signing off, and shuts off the camera. And the reason why this scene bothered me so much, like more than anything in the movie, I hate the idea of lobotomies. Like, I like that and because of the fact that that's something that they actually did to people in those days. They actually did that. It's not like something that some spooky person just made up. Like, this is a real thing that they thought could treat people. And the idea of someone taking some form of, you know, metal prong and jamming it into your brain until you're happy again, you know, like, it just creeps me out. And then seeing him with like the blood dripping down his eyes, and then like the hole in the side of his head, and he's just like barely able to stand, like sit up, and just like talking, and he's slurring his words. I was like, it's kind of showing you just how horrible the effects of something like this, especially if it's gone wrong, are. And it just made me so uncomfortable. Like, I was just like sitting there and I was like, you know, that made me feel really gross. And I'm going to need to sit here for a minute after that and just decompress, because yikes, like yikes. You know, and I know that some people might be like, oh no, I would love to have a lobotomy performed on me. You know, like, I know people are going to think it's funny and be like, oh, I didn't think it was like scary, but it's just the fact that people used to do that. You know, they used to do that to treat, you know, diseases and to treat mental illness. They used to do that for gay people, you know, to try to fix them from being gay, you know. And I just like stuff with the way that they used to handle mental health freaks me out, like electric shock therapy, things like that. It just freaks me out, because it's just like, no, they did this though. They did this. This isn't like something that somebody's making up to be spooky scary. Like, they did this. I'm sure it's definitely exaggerated in the moment, because obviously this is a ghost doctor performing a lobotomy on a live human being. So obviously it's exaggerated, but it's like, yeah, but they still did those things to people. And it's just freaks me out. Not a fan of it. I was very uncomfortable, and I kind of sat on my couch for a minute afterwards, and I was like, okay, that was intense. Because a lot of times they'll show you like lobotomy patients or something like that in horror after, and they're fine, and they're just or their creepiness is like they're smiling. They're like,
yeah, exactly.
Hi, how are you? And it's like okay, yeah, you're just over exaggerating it. Like, that was like, okay, this is what happens when a lobotomy goes wrong. And obviously it would go wrong because it's a ghost doctor performing it. How's he gonna do it? You're a ghost.
So this is a really bad time for me to bring up the fact that I was going to say a joke that I would love to get lobotomies with my girlies, like BBLs, because I was saving that joke this whole time.
No, man.
I know. There's a special place in hell for me.
It's not even that. It's just it's not even that. It's just that it don't do nothing but like, it don't do nothing. I mean, again, if it's something you're willingly consenting to, that's one thing. But if it's something someone's forcing you to do, like, No. And that's what they used to do, is like force people to get, that's your treatment. You have no say in it. You know, it's one thing if you say, you know what, I'd like a lobotomy. You know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, it's like
your face.
You know, I'm just saying, it's like, okay, you know what you're getting yourself into. But if you're like, imagine you wake up in the middle of the night and someone's just like, bam, in your head, you're just like, you know, like, you know. And I also think too is because, you know, a certain person that did a very horrible crime many years ago, that was one of his go-to things to do, and then he poured things in the people's heads to try to turn them no. So I think that's also the
in context of that it disturbs me, and when I watched that thing that I'm not naming because I don't think people should watch it.
No, I regret watching it. I regret watching it.
It disturbs me deeply, but I mean, man, maybe we should cut out the part about me, the BBL joke.
I'm leaving that in there.
It's all right. I was never meant to have a real presence on the internet anyway.
I mean, fine. I think most people would probably agree in the context of this movie that they and stuff like that. I've seen plenty of it, even like in reviews of this movie. People are like, "That lobotomy looked like a good time," and I'm like, oh,
I mean, I was sitting there like, yeah, I'm kind of desperate for anything at this point. Why not
do anything? It doesn't do anything but ruin your motor skills, you know, really. So I mean, like, if you just want to ruin your motor skills, it's a great time. It's a great time. The other thing I wanted to point out is that it didn't have too much shaky cam.
No, it started with it.
It started with it, but it didn't have too much.
Great, I'm getting motion sickness from this movie. And then it just calmed down over time.
As it got into more of the scarier stuff, it calmed down. It was focusing on its set pieces.
Yeah, it's like a good move from like a cinematography standpoint. They're like, all right, we've established that it's shaky cam and that this is a found footage movie. Like they did that for the cheesier parts in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's go ahead and like, we're going, like, the things that we want people to focus on, we're not going to use shaky cam on those parts because we want people to focus on the, like, you know, the story we're trying to tell. Is kind of how it felt. And I mean, Cloverfield, take a page out of that book, you know? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, Cloverfield was a mess. That's why people were throwing up when they watched that movie. Like, this was more like along the lines of like Paranormal Activity with the way it did the camera. I mean, a lot of the camera in Paranormal Activity was pretty stationary.
They're stationary, they're hooked up.
You know, so that's how that's how I personally enjoy found footage movies. Cloverfield was too much. I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm on a ride. The camera's like,
I still haven't even been able to watch it. Like, just I've only seen bits and pieces when like people are watching it in like the living room, and then I'm passing by, and like just a little bit, like as I'm walking by for a minute, I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah, I feel sick already. So
yeah, I saw it in theaters. So
that's right, you did. I remember now. Yep. Yeah,
that was like me and my sister went to go see that together before she swore off horror movies forever.
That's a good bonding experience.
We went together and both of us were like, does your head hurt? And we're like, yeah. Just a little bit.
I feel kind of awful.
I absolutely hate that movie. But I mean, I like 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah. I feel like I just got a lobotomy. Anyways, all right. Enough lobotomy jokes out of me today.
So we can kind of move on to the things we didn't like about this movie.
Sure. My main talking point was going to be the rat thing, so I've kind of covered my bad.
The rat. Okay.
Yeah.
My main thing I didn't like about this movie, and it's my qualm with every single found footage movie, is the acting. It was very, very bad in this movie, which I did put in my good talking points that it did help with the believability at times, but then there was times where some of the line delivery was just so corny that I was like, oh, come on.
I have an audition tomorrow.
That was iconic. Houston was iconic, okay?
Houston was iconic.
Tomorrow.
Also, the guy who played Houston, we need to find him if we ever make a movie about Steven Tyler, because he looks like Steven Tyler.
He does.
I couldn't stop thinking that every time he was on the screen. I wanted to say that. My bad. Okay,
no, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. That is valid. No, it was wild. Like, I mean, like, there was, I can't remember exactly what, like, it's mostly TC. Yeah. His line delivery was just, like, cringe. I was just like, bro, if you don't shut your mouth.
They were like, we want you to play the part of the minority guy that's scared out of his mind.
Mm-hmm. Which I like,
we just want you to keep talking.
Yeah, and he would not shut up. And then, like, and then I personally I kind of past this movie because I do know the time period that it was created in.
His choice of language.
His choice of language is, but I had to include this in the bad section because if anybody's watching this that hasn't seen the movie, that wants to watch this movie, that might be something that puts you off. There is the F slur and the R slur in this movie.
Yes.
Just so you know, they're only used once individually, but they are in there and they are used in the context of being derogatory. They're not used like as a joke or like kind of like just in a sense, it's like they're used to be derogatory. So if that's something that bothers you, maybe you don't want to watch this movie. It is only used once each time. I kind of let it roll up. I mean, when he said the F slur, I was kind of like, excuse me?
I was mainly upset because he was using it against Houston.
Exactly. Houston did not deserve that.
Houston did not deserve. He has an audition tomorrow.
He has an audition.
Like, he's a working man.
Exactly.
He has things to do. He was out here giving his best performance. I loved the fact that Houston was so corny because it like showcases like the fake medium sort of thing.
Yes, that's his character in the movie. So you guys know that he's the medium that Lance brings in to, you know, feel the ghosts, but he is
he's just an actor.
Not really a medium. He's fake, and his name is Houston. Yeah.
There was a part where they said something. They didn't exactly say Houston, we have a problem, but they said something like along the lines of it, and I appreciated that part. So.
Same. Another thing, I didn't write this down, but I'm including this in the bad acting thing. I did not like the girl's acting in this movie, especially when she got to the scared, more like she was more scared. Her scream was so shrill. It was so shrill, and it was like it would grate my nerves. And then when she would start freaking out, you could barely understand what she was saying.
Yeah,
she'd be like, like, okay, Donnie from Wild Thornberries.
Yeah,
I was like, thank goodness I have the subtitles. Also, my roommate pointed out, if you watch this movie with subtitles, at least on Shudder, I don't know if it's like this on Tubi, somebody really went in on the punctuation marks in this movie. There's like 100 like explanation points. It'll be like somebody screaming, so it'll be like, ah, and then 18 exclamation points.
Yeah, like the part where she's screaming, Lance! Lance! I'm like, dang.
And there's like 20 exclamation points across
home that she is screaming right now.
Because my roommate did subtitling at one point for a job, and she's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. I was like, maybe whoever they hired, they were like, go crazy.
They're like, go to town. We want it to be known that she is screaming.
Yeah, she was probably the weakest one. Her screaming just was grating my nerves a little bit, and I was like, bro, I can't wait till she's not on the screen anymore. So I got my wish.
Yeah, you did. I also wanna. I'm sorry that I'm bringing these parts up in the what we didn't like, but I want to look into it. I didn't have the time to look into it before we started recording, but I want to see if there's some sort of symbolism with the fact that there are some times that the characters are not wearing the shirt that they were wearing like throughout the entirety of the movie, and it's usually closer to their death. They're wearing a white shirt.
Oh,
I don't know if you picked up on that, but there was like a point closer to when it kind of closer to when she dies. It may even be like when she's like the next one to die, but suddenly her hoodie and her shirt are white.
Oh,
and she's like running, so it's really quick. You have to like really be paying attention to it because she's like running in the scene, but her shirt and her hoodie are both white, and I'm like, no, she was definitely wearing all black, because I definitely did not just like go on to Amazon at the beginning of this movie to find studs so I can stud the hood of my hoodie like her. I will be doing that.
Oh, that's cool. She had a cool sense of style. I will say that. She had a cool sense of style.
If she just never spoke, that would
she had
be
that
great.
early 2010s emo look.
Yeah, she's an absolute fashion icon for this movie.
Exactly.
But she opened her mouth, and then it was like, oh, honey, no, you're not doing a good service for any women out there.
And then one other thing I do want to highlight for this this movie for like a bad thing is that the jump scares are predictable. I do, like I said in the good things, they're very well placed, and even if they don't scare you, they're well placed. Like you can appreciate a good placed jump scare. There isn't an overusage of them, which I also appreciated.
Yes,
there's only a few. So it's not like the whole movie's just jump scare, like, you know, one right after the other. It's like when they come, they're significant in what's happening. But like I said, also the downside to this is if you're somebody who's spent a lot of time online, you've probably seen the jump scares because they're everywhere. This movie's been out for over 10 years now. They're everywhere. I've seen them on Tumblr. I used to see them as GIFs on Tumblr all the time. I've seen them on Wattpad. I've seen them in other YouTube videos, like people using them as like a jump scare for something. I've seen them even in, I think, like indie horror games. Like I've seen like the images and stuff like that. So they're pretty much everywhere. So if you haven't seen the movie,
really cool how heavily it's referenced though in like media and pop culture,
especially the scene with the hands coming down from the ceiling. That has been in so many like real ghost videos on YouTube. I've seen that so many times, like the hands, it's like real ghosts caught on tape, and it's like the hands. And it took me a long time, like I didn't believe it was real because it looked fake, but it took me a long time to find out where that was from, and then I eventually found out that was from not Ghost Adventures, Grave Encounters. Those from Grave Encounters. So that if you've seen like, you know, anything online, you've seen the jump scare, so you kind of know. Like I mean, literally when I watched this movie, I saw the part with the hands, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was like not what I remarked. I was like, oh yeah, that's the hands. They said
that's pretty dope.
Grabby hands.
I know, right? Grabby hands.
They just wanted to hold someone's hand. See, they needed a boo thing. That's what they needed.
Episode 2 of Boo Thing is going to be taking place in that asylum. I'm going to find someone for all of those patients.
All those hands. There was like 100 of them, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm. You always got a hand to hold with this one. With this spirit. Yeah,
there you go. Is there anything else you wanted to add for the bad section?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for what the movie is, I'm pretty good with it. I don't have that many qualms.
Yes. Okay, so moving into final thoughts. Just to kind of like wrap up my final thoughts, I thought it was a fun movie. It was creepy. It had moments that made me jump. It was a really good found footage horror movie, which is saying a lot for me because I'm not a big fan of the genre personally. It's either too much shaky cam or it's way too predictable and you can kind of see what's going to happen. But I really liked the fact that they did the parody of the Ghost Adventures and they did it really well. Felt like you were watching Zach Bagins himself, you know, half the time. It was really good. I think I told Gina when I watched it the first time, I said, this is my second favorite found footage movie I've ever seen. Hell House LLC is still the first, but they're like very close together.
They're
very close together.
Neck and neck.
Like
for me as well,
you know, it's very good. One of the best found footage movies I've seen. I'm really excited to watch Grave Encounters too. So that's my final thoughts on the movie.
Funny you say that because my TV up here, it's now just auto turning off, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch the second movie, and I gotta like queue it up again.
It said, you take it too long.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not waiting for you.
All right.
For me, final thoughts. What is it that you wrote at the top of our little planner here? Oh, Zach Bagins' Wannabe Gets Got. And I think that's a really great, like, just review title for this movie.
That's the title of the video.
Oh, is it really? I'll name an episode. Oh, I should really read more.
It's okay.
Context clues. But anyways, the name of the episode this week is Zach Bagins' Wannabe Gets Got. And I think that's perfect. And I don't know. I appreciated it. I had fun watching it like it was just like a prolonged episode of like a ghost hunting show.
Gone Terribly Wrong.
Gone Terribly Wrong. I've been watching a lot of Garrett Watts videos on YouTube this week as well, just unironically. So I've been enjoying the funnier side of ghost hunting this week. So it was cool
Mm-hmm.
to see like this kind of stuff happening. And then I just
Yes.
sat there and I'm like, man, I could do this. I could do my own show. The ghosts would never come for me though, because I would be so sweet to them.
He's
I'd be
like,
like, I made
hi.
you a pie.
They'd be like, oh my God.
You're like, queen. They probably would lock
Yes.
me in because they don't want me to leave. They'd be like,
Exactly.
no.
They wouldn't want you to leave. Exactly. Well, I guess now is as good a time as any to do our skull rating. So, Gina, I'll let you go first. What did you rate this?
I'm rating this a very strong 4.5.
Same.
Skulls out of 5. Oh, look at us.
4.5 skulls. 4.5 out of 5 skulls.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. If anything, I guess it was plenty long. If anything, I wanted it to be a little shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
There
agree
were
with
points
that.
where I was
It was
watching. I guess I should have
slow.
brought this up in what I didn't like, but there were points where I was watching and I'm like, dang, we've been here for a while. Like,
Yeah.
how much more we gotta do?
I will agree with that, and I forgot to put that in my things I didn't like. Was that the beginning was very slow paced, and there was a lot of setting the scene. There was too much setting the scene. After a while, it was like, okay, because even my roommate said it when we were watching it. The second when I was watching it with her, like it was like I knew what we were getting to. We were getting to stuff actually happening, and I was like, "Don't worry, we're getting to like actual jump scares and scary stuff soon." She goes, "Good," because I was about to be like, "What the heck? We've been watching this movie for this amount of time and nothing has happened." So I mean, stuff had happened, but it wasn't like enough. But I think that also like. I mean, yes, it could have been shorter, but there were certain. I think they could have cut the beginning shorter, and then like
that's what I mean.
left in a lot of like because there were some solid moments of just the atmosphere building, like the things that you didn't see people, like you said, the window opening, the girl's hair getting pulled, TC getting thrown down the stairs, like that stuff was good, and they should like
they thrown him a little harder.
They could have. He needed to be knocked on his head a couple times. But yeah, no, 4.5 out of 5 skulls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's solid.
It was a solid movie.
It's a solid movie.
I would probably watch this one again, but I usually, and not to contradict everything you guys said, because I absolutely agree with most everything that you guys said, if not everything you guys said. But I do fall asleep to ghost hunting stuff, so
I mean,
and like paranormal.
Get your bag.
So I probably will go to sleep with this one.
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking that the only part that stopped me, because like for most of the movie I'm like, oh, I got another one in the rotation is what I was thinking. And then the rat part came up and I'm like, I do not want to wake up in the middle of the night to this.
Yeah,
and that's just the one thing. Like everything else was cool. It's like if I wake up and the hands are on the screen, I'd be like, hey, maybe give them a high five, roll over, go back to sleep. But the rat part, if I wake up and I see that, it's game over for me.
Nope, I don't blame you. All right, well, that was our Grave Encounters review. Grave Encounters. And now we are going to talk about Halloween Horror Nights.
I need a sound.
Oh, yeah, hold on. We need a sound. Hold on, I got one. There we go.
I just feel like I should be like violently pushed when I hear that. Like
that's the sound of TC falling down the stairs.
Oh, play it again.
Hold on.
Oh, it's my favorite sound.
All right. Quick little overview of Halloween Horror Nights. If you haven't heard of it, you don't know what it is. I'm not going to go into the whole history. There's tons and tons of videos and podcasts about it. Universal has their own Halloween Horror Nights podcast that you could go listen to. Actually, it's not a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. It's just the Universal Orlando podcast. But there's tons and tons of videos. I would recommend Expedition Theme Park. I say my boy. I don't know him personally, but my boy Sam. I've been watching him for years, so that's why I'm like, my boy Sam. He has an amazing series where he talks about the history of Halloween Horror Nights from its inception all the way till now. There's also a book, an unofficial guide book. Let me see and pull it up. Google the unofficial Halloween Horror Nights guide. It's by Christopher Ripley. It's called Halloween Horror Nights Unofficial Guide. or the unofficial the story. So it's like the whole story. It's a guide. It's very in depth. But it is a Halloween event that Universal Studios puts on every year in September to November. It started, its inception was in Universal Studios Orlando. It's spread since to the other parks. Universal Studios Japan Halloween Horror Nights looks lit. I want to make it over there at some point. There's like dance parties in the middle of Halloween Horror Nights. I'm like, I want that energy in my life. And it's basically an event where there are a bunch of haunted houses that you can go through. Then there's also these zones in the park that are called scare zones, where you walk through and there's creatures jumping at you, and it's spooky and it's scary. It has been running since 1991, and it is in its 32nd year. Technically, it's 33rd, but they did not have it in 2020 because of you know what. So officially it's 32 Halloween Horror Nights 32, which I kind of like because it's coinciding with the year I was born and my birthday and all that stuff. My birth, because I'm 32. Because I'm 32 now, so it's also 32.
We did have birthdays since last time.
Oh yeah, my birthday was just a couple days ago.
Yeah,
I'm still recovering from it. I feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. That's for sure.
That's good.
So real quick, I just kind of wanted to talk about our individual history with the event. So Gina, when was the first time that you went to Halloween Horror Nights?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
2021.
20, right? That's when they did Beetlejuice, right?
Yes, 2021. Yep.
Yeah. So 2021 was the first year that I went. I have a lot of sensory issues, so it never seemed like an event that I would willingly spend money to go to, and that's usually how I like said it to people. Like if they were like, oh, you want to come to HHN with us, I'm like, if you're paying, because I'm not gonna spend money for me to like feel uncomfortable basically.
Right.
So 2 years ago I was able to go for free because I had a ticket. And I went and I really enjoyed the event. I had only done it for one night, and I really only did one house, which was Beetlejuice, and then for the rest of it I was more so like doing scare zones, enjoying food, looking at merchandise, and it helped me to understand what I needed to do to enjoy the event. So when last year came around, I was more equipped and prepared and knew what to expect. So then I knew how to handle like myself and my own like personal like tics and issues with things, so I could enjoy the event. And I had a very good time, and I went several nights.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
What would you say? I know you've only been twice, but what would you say, since you really only went through houses last year, so far, what was your favorite house that you've gone through?
Really enjoyed the Michael Myers house last year.
Okay. Yeah, the Halloween house.
I had a good time. Halloween house at Halloween Horror Nights. No, I really enjoyed that, but my favorite part about last year's event, and I guess it's good because since I did the scare zones for the year before, I can I have a little bit more to compare. Yeah. I really liked the scare zone last year that was in front of the Mummy that I'm not remembering the name of right now. Sweet Revenge. That was my favorite thing ever. I would just sit in that area. I loved it. If there was any way I could have the track that plays in the Sweet Revenge area.
Yeah. I wish they would have dropped the track list for that, because that was good.
It was really nice. Like, there's the ambient noise of it I really enjoyed. We would just, like, friends and I, we would go and get our deep fried Oreos and just sit there and just, like, vibe to just the sounds of people getting their, like, spirit scared out of them, like their soul just ascending.
Yep. Yeah, because there was a lot of screams in the background. I just like the rockabilly, like the rockabilly music they were playing, because they were playing like all of that like 1950s, like like the rock music, and it just like, and then of course it's intercut with people screaming for their lives, which wasn't the people in the scare zone, it was in the track.
It was in the track itself, which was really like, I don't know, just the idea of it, like I wouldn't mind just putting that on my TV and like playing that during fall season in the background, because it was just like, it was a cool vibe. It was a really cool vibe. Yeah. So, and Sweet Revenge just as a whole, I really just enjoyed that scare zone. I think everyone who acted in that scare zone they deserve, like, I don't know, a little cupcake or something, because
Mm-hmm.
they all really got into their characters. I think that was another thing I liked, is it allowed the scare actors to all develop their own character with their own like set of personality traits,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped like every scare in that area to be so unique. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I I only got to see that scare zone, the scarecrow one, and
Hmm.
I got to see the graveyard one, but it was during the day, so we didn't have any of the cool lighting. Um I liked the Sweet Revenge one. That one aesthetically was my favorite. The Scarecrow
Hmm.
one was the scariest. Um,
Yeah,
those scare actors were they were they
they went
were
hard.
they were on hard. The one part when you're walking out of Central Park where they had like a guy standing there like he was a scarecrow, and it looked straight up like it was just a prop.
Hmm.
He was frozen, and then all of a sudden he came running out. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "That was good." I literally said, "I was like, that was good." That was
Yeah,
good. I was like, I told him, I was like, you did a good job because I thought you were fake. I thought you were
he
fake.
also deserves a cupcake.
He does. I thought he was fake. I did not realize he was a real person in the suit because he was just frozen like this and then just came running
Yeah,
at us.
the crow
Um,
people too. I felt bad for the
mm-hmm,
corn guys though, because like they were trying so hard with scaring people, but the thing was is that viral video came out with Corn Kid at the time.
mm-hmm.
So everyone who walked through that scare zone, whenever they'd see the corn guys and they're like, all right, I'm ready, I'm gonna scare them good, they'd be like, it's corn, a big lump but not, and it's like they're like,
It's got the juice.
yeah.
Yep. But yeah. So for me, this is going to be my 10th year going to Halloween Horror Nights. I started going in 2013. Ironically enough, is because they did The Walking Dead and they turned the entire park into The Walking Dead. I was terrified of the event. I had gone 2 years before that, but it was like several years before that I had gone. I went once with my brother and once with my sister. Um, I did not make it through the first time I went. I went through 2 haunted houses and then called my sister to come pick me up. I was
Mm.
panicking. And then the next year when I went with my sister, I didn't go in any of the haunted houses. I sat outside. I was too scared. I didn't go for many years. I would always like read things about it and watch. I was very obsessed with the event for whatever reason, but I was too scared to go. And then I was really into The Walking Dead in 2012, 2013, and they were like, "Hey, guess what? We're turning the entire park into The Walking Dead and having a haunted house." And I was like, "You got me. I have to go." I was like, "I have no choice now. I have to go." And then I went and I ended up having a really good time. I had a blast. I went through only 4 haunted houses, but I had a great time through all of them. I was very proud of myself. I remember actually cheering for myself when I got out of the Walking Dead house because I did not close my eyes. I did not hide my face because I did not want to miss anything. So I was just like, I don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to look at everything. And then I came out of the house and I was like, yes, I did it. I actually kept my eyes open. So yeah, so for me, yeah, my first year going was consecutively was 20 since then it was 2013. This will be my 10th year going. um I've got to say my favorite year that I have gone was probably 2019. That was the first year that I went and led through the haunted houses. Walked was the first person in our group. Well, it was just me and it was just me and you, Jim. Um, we walked through the. I was the first time I ever did that in a haunted house, and they had some really solid houses that year. They had some really good ones. Even some of the original ones were really good. The only one that sucked was Stranger Things, so hopefully that one doesn't suck this year. But the Killer Clowns haunted house, I was not expecting that one, and that was amazing. I really do hope they bring it back one time because I would love to go through that one again. It was so much fun. Um, and then as far as like my favorite house I've ever been in, so far that I've had, I have to say is Wicked Growth. That house was for them having the COVID protocols that they had, not
Hmm.
really being able to get into your face and having the plastic in front of them. They did
Phenomenal.
a good job setting, and then we went through back to back and we got different scares both times.
Hmm.
And it was relentless. There was one room where it was like there was a person on the floor, there was a person in the corner, there was a person behind this thing, and it was like they're just all coming at you like Rah! It was terrifying. It was so good. Pumpkin Lord was amazing. The guy on the stilts at the end had me running out the house. I was terrified. So yeah, Great. So yeah, so that's a little bit of our individual history. I mean, Gina's definitely getting her feet wet with these this event and stuff like that. But you know,
Yeah.
I'm glad she's on the team now, because before I remember I would be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you want to try it?" She's like, "No."
Yeah, well,
You know,
again, it's just like
I
when you have like
understand.
sensory problems, because like I still experience some things. I didn't have my earplugs in when I was going through a scare zone one time. I
Mhm.
just kind of like wandered into it, and
Mhm.
someone had come up and screamed directly in my ear. And so for the rest of the night, I felt like I was gonna like just, I don't know, I just felt dizzy and just like
Yeah.
disoriented and like
Yeah.
just did not feel good. But as long as you like, you take the right precautions, like it can be a really
Mhm.
fun event for anybody.
Exactly.
Um, so I'm excited for this year as well. I've worked haunted houses before
Mhm.
I went to Halloween Horror Nights, so that's like my main
Yeah.
experience with haunted houses, and like that was always something I could control more. So I was like, I guess I'll just always be a person that works it. But now
Yeah.
I can go and do what everyone else does.
Exactly. And hey, there's no, I mean, I understand, because I'm kind of the same way with, like, I had really bad sensory issues, and the way I used to handle it back in the day was, a lot of the specialty drinks. Um
Mhm.
but now that I'm older, I don't really like, especially because it's so expensive, I don't really like to not remember the event. So usually, like, the best thing for me is getting there early and having enough time. Like, that's the way I handle it, is getting there early and having enough time to sort of like settle in and be like, okay, I know what's coming. And then once I get through the
Yeah.
first house, I'm usually okay. After I get through the first house, I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. Let's do it. Like, I mean, I went to Howl-O-Scream in Busch Gardens in 2019 during a tropical storm. It was right before a tropical storm was about to hit, and there was no one at the event except for me, like a few people. And me and my friend went through almost every single haunted house by ourselves. So I'm kind of a little desensitized now. I had no choice, because we got to the event, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be busy tonight. And then we got inside, and I'm like, there's nobody here. There's no one here. Okay. Um and then we got to like the first haunted house, and I was like, there's nobody in line. Oh, we just walking right in. Okay. We're just walking right in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess I got to suck it up and just, and it was good for them, because they were like, there's no one in here. Yay, we can really like scare you. And so it made the experience a lot more like jump scary, and like they were coming at you more,
Mhm.
but like it made me have to like buck up, because I'm like, I can't back out now. I spent like $100 something to go to this event, because we bought express
Yeah.
passes too. So I'm like, I can't just back out and not go through the haunted houses because I'm scared because there's no one in line. So
Yeah.
my friend was just like, here, hold my hand. And I was like, okay. And I held her hand, and she's like, even if you
Here
got to
we go.
squeeze it. And we went through, and I was like, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. So yeah, so that's definitely a good talking point. We will talk a little bit more about like tips and tricks later. So
Mhm.
real quick, I'm just going to try to speed run some factual like planning facts about this for people who are listening, who may be like, you know what, I didn't know that Universal Studios did a Halloween event, or maybe I did know, but I've never really looked into it. And maybe
Mhm.
they want to go for the first time this year. So to start with is days and hours. So Halloween Horror Nights is a separately ticketed event. So that means you have to pay a separate price for it. And it starts on September 1st, and it runs all the way through to November 4th. This is actually the first time since reopening after lockdown that HHN is going through November, is open through the first week of November, which is very cool. It operates most weeks Wednesday through Sunday, except for the week of Halloween, where it will be open on Halloween this year because it's a Tuesday. And then the hours for the event are 6:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. If you do stay and scream, which we'll talk about a little bit later, they will usually open the houses around 5:45. Um, so you'll be able to go through those. Ticket prices this year: the single night tickets, which is just one night ticket, is starts at $79.99. Now these prices vary. All these prices I'm going to tell you, unless I say otherwise, do vary what day you're going. So yeah, $79.99 for one night, or more. Express
Yes.
passes, which will get you fast access to all 10 houses, one time per pass, starts at $119.99. And then there's the Rush of Fear Pass, which gets you into all of the September dates. That starts at $179.99. Then there are three different frequent fear passes. So there's the standard frequent fear pass. You can get up to 30 nights. You save when you buy online, and then you can come every Sunday through Thursday for the event night plus the first weekend. That means that you cannot go on Friday and Saturday, but you can go Sunday through Thursday. That starts at $229.99. Then there's the frequent fear plus pass. you can get up to 40 nights, and you save when you buy online, and then you can come every Sunday through Friday, plus the first and last Saturday event nights. So that starts at $269.99, or that is $269.99. Sorry, does it start at? And then there's the Ultimate Frequent Fear Pass. You can get up to 48 nights. And then you can come every night of the event. And you also get free regular parking after 5 p.m. on all event nights. And that starts at $374.99.
Which is insanity.
It is absolute insanity.
I mean, technically, the savings are amazing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's insane.
Especially if you're gonna go multiple times, you'll get your usage out of it. Then we have the RIP tour, which is a guided tour with front of the line access to the houses, and that starts at $329.99. Now, I have to say this because this is where people get confused. It does not include admission to the event as well. You still need to buy a basic ticket, which is
at least a basic ticket.
Yeah, at least a basic ticket. Yeah, which is insane. So then there's the Scream Early ticket. So this is a recent offering that started in 2021. It gets someone in the park between the hours of 3 to 5 p.m. to go to the Stay and Scream areas. And this is the only one with the set price, and the price is $40. So basically what that does is there are certain areas, which we do not know what those areas are yet because of the construction. There are certain areas in the park that will be blocked off. And if you have a ticket to HHN and a ticket to Universal, you can go into those areas and you can get into at least one haunted house before they open the park to the rest of the public. Most of the time you get through two. But they're all in specific sections, and you have to pick which section you want to go to, basically. So you look at what houses are available in the area, and then you go from there. And they usually will do their big IPs. Their big IPs will be open then too as well for that. And then the last little ticket thing I have is the Behind the Screams Unmasking the Horror Tour. It's a daytime guided tour with the lights on through either 3 or 6 houses, depending on what you purchase. And that also starts at $119.99. So it's a pricey event.
It is. It's quite expensive, but I mean, compared, I guess in a way we should compare a bit to like when it was a $20 event. Mm-hmm. Like Jim had said earlier, there weren't a lot of houses and everything. Like now they really do things up a lot. Like it's very elaborate. There's food, drinks. There is the stunt show as well.
Yeah.
Which is like incredible every single year, and what those people can do. They have, of course, the haunted houses, the scare zones, exclusive merchandise,
photo op areas, all that type of stuff. Photo op
areas. Like there's definitely a lot. And then if you're buying the passes to go to one of these like special guided tours, like it is well worth it, because the guided tours also allow you to go through all of the houses. Like you're guaranteed that.
Yeah, you're guaranteed all 10 houses. The only downside to doing the RIP tour is that you will not have time to do much of anything else. So if you're only going to be going once, it may not be, unless you're only going for the houses, it may not be the best thing to do. If you're going multiple times and you want to just tack on a RIP tour so you can have that house experience, then yes. But if you're only going to be going once and you want to see more than just the houses, you definitely probably don't want to do an RIP tour, because you'll only get to see the houses, because they pretty much just like funnel you through it. It starts kind of late too. I don't think you can start the tour till like the event has been going for a few hours. So yeah, it does kind of cut into the rest of your fun time. All right, so real quick, we're going to run into the haunted houses and scare zones, and we're not going to go into too much detail about the haunted houses because we talked about them in the last video. But I am going to give you a quick rundown of what the event is about this year, because I did find out from a YouTube channel called the Tim Tracker, who is kind of one of my go-to for a lot of theme park stuff that goes around. He's been doing it for a really long time, him and his wife. And he does a great job with giving you as much information as he can. And he just released a video, I think last week, where he was going through the park and showing you where all the scare zones were and where he thinks all the houses will be. And then he also gave a backstory for what has been confirmed about this year's event. There is no official icon, but the unofficial icon is Dr. Oddfellow, which I mentioned in the last episode as a very pivotal character in Halloween Horror Nights history. So there's a character named Jack the Clown, or Jack Schmidt, who used to work for Dr. Oddfellow's traveling carnival. Jack was, a serial killer, and he was caught by the about to get caught by the police. When he went to Dr. Oddfellow to help him, Dr. Oddfellow was like, no, and killed Jack and stuffed him in a Jack-in-the-Box. Go figure. As it turns out, however, Dr. Oddfellow was also up to some really sus stuff while he was running this traveling carnival. And by sus, I mean he was murdering people as well. And this is because Dr. Oddfellow was trying to harness the power of the Dark Zodiac to become immortal. And he did it. He managed to harness the power of the Dark Zodiac, and now he is immortal. And even though he technically has died in the HHN canon, because Jack did come back and kill him for the Carnival of Carnage, which was 2007, which was the first official year that I went. He did kill him and take over his carnival. But they said that they retconned that a little bit, that there is a way that they can die when they're immortal, but still come back to life, which is what Jack did. There's also, when Jack and Dr. Oddfellow were getting into a fight right before he killed Jack, Jack scratched Dr. Oddfellow on his face and left a distinct mark on his face, a distinct scar. So the cool thing about that is that Dr. Oddfellow is also a shapeshifter. So he can turn into whatever he wants to turn into. And that means that Dr. Oddfellow will show up in the scare zones and in the non-IP haunted houses. And you only will be able to know that it's him because of the distinct scar on his face.
That's pretty dope.
So I was like, that's cool. So he's going to be in, like, you'll see him in the scare zones. I know definitely Vamp 69, you'll see him in that because he is the head vampire that comes out to kill people. So I'm very excited to see that. I don't know what the scar looks like yet. They haven't released anything, but I'm sure after their opening night, we will know what the scar looks like. So we'll be able to spot Dr. Oddfellow.
Keep an eye out. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what Tim Tracker informed the world about. So just a real quick rundown of the haunted houses again. We're not going to go into too much detail except for one. So the first house that's on the list is Stranger Things. It's going to be based off season 4. Then there's The Exorcist Believer, which is based off the new movie that comes out in October. There's The Last of Us, which is based off of the video game, not the TV show. There is Chucky Ultimate Kill Count. Now, Tim Tracker also gave a really good insight about this one, because remember how we were saying, like, oh, like he's going to be taking over a haunted house or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Tim Tracker said what he found out about this haunted house is that actually the story behind this is that the Universal creative team decided they were going to put on a house for Chucky, like a Chucky-themed haunted house. And then they decided to show it to Chucky. So Chucky comes in, sees the haunted house, and he goes, hold up, you're not actually killing people. And they're like, well, yeah, we can't do that. That's illegal. And Chucky's like, no. So what he does is he takes over the haunted house with his clone dolls army, and he kills people. So it's not just going to be like it's like a haunted houseception. Like it's Inception haunted house style, because you're going to be seeing creative team members being offed. You're going to be seeing park employees being offed. On top of also seeing like Chucky and everything like that. So it's like a meta haunted house. Like it's like they're taking a well-known IP and giving him his own haunted house, but not in the way that you think. It's not based off of anything we've seen. It's literally just him realizing that they created this haunted house for him and that nobody's actually getting killed. And he's like, I have to fix that. You can't have a haunted house for me and no one dies.
Chucky's literally like, I guess I'll just have to do it myself then. If no one else is going to do it right, I'll just do it myself.
He pulled a Thanos. He's like, all right, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, that's...
So I just thought that one was really interesting. When Tim Tracker was telling the whole story, I said, that's actually really cool. It's on brand. It's on brand for Chucky. It's on brand for that. So I am very excited for that. That actually did, after I watched Tim Tracker's video about it, that actually did pique my excitement even more for this house, because I was already excited for this one. It was already like, I definitely want to do this one. I was like, nah, we have to, because I have to see how they're going to pull this off. Like that is going to be insane. Because I just thought they were going to do like off the TV show that recently came out, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh no, it's going to be like a little, like a little like meta thing where he's taking over his own haunted house. I'm like, what does that mean? And then when Tim Tracker explained it, I was like, dude, that's so cool. I can't wait to tell everybody that.
That's really fun. Like,
I'm excited.
That's gonna be cool to see, just like people in regular park costumes.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when they you didn't experience this, but in 2021 when they did the Icons house, one of the things I really liked about it was that in every room where there was each icon featured, they had a victim, like someone who was a Halloween Horror Nights fan, wearing a t-shirt from that year.
Yeah.
And they were all like, you know, they were in traps or whatever. So I thought that was really cool. So I like when they go a little bit meta, when it's like, we're breaking the fourth wall, essentially. Like, this is not, this is real, but it's not real, obviously, because it's not.
Right.
But, you know, it's like, I like when they do that. So then adding somebody who's as iconic as, you know, Chucky, adding him in there, I'm just like, I love that. Like, you throw in like a real IP character, but you give him his own like story. This is separate from his IP, separate from, you know, the story we know of Chucky. We're not walking through the Child's Play movie. No, we are in our own Child's Play movie.
I wonder if that was the original idea for this house, or since they've been like working on like, you know, because they've been trying to like include Chucky here and there the last couple of years. I wonder if this is something that they've like worked up to.
Yeah, they might have been trying to figure out how to do it properly, because I know they did do a Chucky haunted house in 2009, and it was not very well received. So I'm not sure. This could definitely be something that they were trying to figure out. How do we bring him back, but not make it cheesy or corny? And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I always watch like videos from opening night, when after like, you know, all the big YouTubers go for their, you know, media night. I always watch the videos to see what the houses look like. They're very good at not showing you the entire house, but giving you an idea of what the house looks like. So I'm very interested in seeing what everybody says about this one. Like, it's high up on my list, so I hope fingers crossed it's good. And then for the 5 original houses, we have Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins, Dueling Dragons, Choose Thy Fate, Yeti, Campground Kills, The Darkest Deal, and Blood Moon Dark Offerings.
Sweet.
Then moving on to the scare zones, there's a little bit for each of them. So there's only 5 of them. So, you know, I'll tell you where they're located too, so you guys can also know where it's going to be at. So the first one is Dr. Oddfellow's Collection of Horror. Dr. Oddfellow will lure you into Halloween Horror Nights with the promise of immortality. As he lifts the veil on all the horrors to come, you'll soon realize you may not even survive the night. And this one is actually unique, because this scare zone is not taking place where it normally would, in front of Despicable Me. It is right at the entrance of the park.
That's cool.
So when you walk in, you don't get time to breathe. You don't get time to breathe. They're just right there looking at you like, what's up? I thought that was cool. Definitely excited about seeing that one. That's probably one we'll see like on our way out or something, or, you know, but that one seems pretty cool. So then there's Dark Zodiac. Dr. Oddfellow has entered a dark dimension to harness the power of the Zodiac and live forever. He twists the signs into malevolent beings who foretell your doom. As his star rises, yours falls. And this one is what it sounds like. It's astrology based.
I just love it, because all the Zodiac girlies are just going to stay in this area and be like, so like, what's your Earth sign?
They're going to be freaking taking pictures. They're going to be taking freaking pictures of like all the twisted Zodiac, because they're supposed to be like twisted, and I'm interested in seeing what they do. Like, I'm like, are they going to have like a person with like a lion's head for Leo or something like that? Like maybe a lion's head covered in blood or something. Like, who knows? We don't know. We won't know till it happens. But I'm very excited to see that. That is going to be located in the Hollywood section in front of the Bourne Stuntacular.
That's cool.
Then we have Jungle of Doom, Expedition Horror. In the 1920s, Dr. Oddfellow ventured deep into the darkest jungle, performing horrific experiments on nature. Now his monstrous creations are running amok and coming after you, and that is located in the Central Park area of the park. And just a heads up, there are giant spiders. They already have them up. They already have them up. They're mostly on the trees, so, you know, like on the actual base of the trees, like when you walk by. So I'm like, oh, as long as they're over there, I don't care. I don't mind walking by them and going, ew, and then just going on. As long as they're not down on the ground chasing me, I'm good.
Right.
If that happens, I'm coming for Universal Sneeze.
I'm gonna step on them.
Then there's Vamp 69, Summer of Blood. This is the one that everybody is excited about. I have not heard anybody stop. Everybody's been talking about this one since they put the facade up. At a 60s music festival in a small New York town, you'll jam to popular bands with fellow concertgoers until Dr. Oddfellow unleashes vicious vampires on the audience. They're out for your blood. And this is located in the New York section in front of the Mummy. So this one sounds like it's going to be like Woodstock gone wrong. You know, which, I mean, like Woodstock 99 basically. Yeah, Basically.
I was gonna say, I mean, it kind of did. So.
Kind of did already, yeah. Oh, Lord. And then the last scare zone is Shipyard 32, Horrors Unhinged. Enter a 1940s San Francisco shipping yard full of mysterious crates and cages bearing Dr. Oddfellow's symbol. Beware, his nightmarish oddities have now escaped, spreading fear and chaos in their wake. And this is in San Francisco, of course, located in front of Fast and the Furious. I wonder if one of those oddities is going to be Vin Diesel.
Family. It's the symbol of family.
It's a symbol of family. Yeah, so I actually thought that was cool, though, that the last two scare zones are actually taking place, like, where the setting of the story is, so I thought that was cool.
Exactly. That's really awesome.
And then, some random tidbits. We have the Nightmare Fuel show is back. It's called Revenge Dream this year. The Lagoon show will not be returning, unfortunately, because of Ian. The rides have not been announced this year, but typically the rides that are open are usually Rip Ride Rocket, The Mummy, Escape from Gringotts, Transformers, Men in Black, and The Simpsons, I believe, has been opened in the past. I'm not sure if it was open last year. I never go on that ride, so I don't pay attention to it. The Tribute Store has not been built yet, and it may or may not return to its New York location. Right now it's in San Francisco. The Jurassic Park one is in San Francisco, and everybody thinks that they're going to do the Halloween Horror Nights one in New York, but they haven't shown anything yet, so
yeah, that would make the most sense to me. Is they probably put Jurassic Park in San Francisco so they had more time to work on the Halloween Horror Nights one.
Absolutely. So, and then I'm going to update this one because I did not, I wrote, when I wrote this, they did not have the food options announced yet, but the food this year, of course, looks very interesting. There is a surfer board pizza stand for Stranger Things Season 4, and they announced that there is a Hawaiian flatbread pizza for those of you who want to try before you deny.
Shut your face.
No, I'm
Shut
serious.
Your face.
There's a Hawaiian flatbread pizza.
I'm going to eat so much of this event.
The other thing that I'm going to actually pull up a picture of this to show you guys because I am in love with this design for this.
Is it the burger?
No, not the burger. No, I want nothing to do with that burger. That burger sounds awful.
Oh, really? It looked pretty good to me.
It's a peanut butter burger.
Yeah.
No.
You never had peanut butter on a burger? It's damn good.
No.
It's damn good.
No.
Especially if it's chunky peanut butter.
No,
because then you get a little crunch.
I am so good. I have no desire to eat peanut butter on a burger. I am fine.
It's damn good.
Okay. No.
What did you say?
He said he'd rather eat the rat.
Bruh. I'm gonna eat that peanut butter burger. That is gonna be so good.
Pop off. Okay, they're not showing me a picture of it. Why does the Universal website not have a picture of this? Okay. I found it. Okay, perfect. Let me share my screen. Let me see if it'll let me share my screen, actually. This one, yes. Okay, so, the main thing I was coming, there's the pizza. And I want to also keep in mind, this is also just their preview. I don't know what's going to actually entail because this is for the preview that they've got. This is the walking taco, which, fun fact, I saw this at the gas station yesterday, so it does look pretty good, but I saw it at the gas station. Thing.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted you guys to see. This is ravioli. And it comes in
formuloli.
It comes in the Fedra can. It's actually coming in the Fedra can. And it comes
dope.
Mini cheese ravioli with marinara, truffle cream, and tempura fried enoki mushrooms.
Truffle cream?
Truffle cream.
Bruh.
There's that peanut butter burger. Yeah. It says peanut butter sauce, so maybe it's good. I don't know. Burnt ends poutine, which I think looks pretty good. I love poutine, so I'm hype about that. There's also this one, the Bloody Campground poutine, which I'm very excited about that too.
Bloody Campground.
It's got pork in it, and it's Asian. It's like an Asian-inspired dish. And then there's the fried till the end chicken, which I also want to try that too, because it's popcorn chicken tossed in Nashville hot sauce and drizzled with ranch and topped with scallions and chili threads. You know I love spicy stuff, so... and then there's also this, which I'm totally getting, the Hellfire Club mini cake.
Bro,
it's a layered chocolate cake with mango, cayenne filling, and topped with a chocolate guitar. There's also
the foodie in me is quaking.
There's also the pumpkin dulce de leche puff. I cannot talk today. And then a bloody snowball, which is chocolate cake with marshmallow buttercream and coconut. That's really cute. I love that.
It's precious.
It's adorable. Then there's the trick or treat bucket, which is a cupcake. It's creme brulee. Oh, it's creme brulee. I thought it was a cupcake. It's a chocolate chip creme brulee topped with peanut butter, buttercream, caramel popcorn, candy corn, M&Ms, Reese's Pieces, and a licorice strip. And then the Oreo mummy pop. He looks like he's seen some stuff.
I ain't going in no houses this year. I'm gonna be eating the whole of it.
You're gonna be like, I'm good. I'm just eating. So yeah, there's I already know the things I want to try, but I gotta plan it out when I see where everything is. I know that they have a lot of the food booths up. They do have the Last of Us food booths up, which is a very good indicator of where the house might be this year. The Surfer Boy Pizza one, and the other one that they opened, which was like a barbecue looking one. I mean, it's not barbecue, but it looked like a barbecue place. Those are right where Transformers is.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are right where Transformers
is. I know
on
where
the other
it
side.
Is. Yep.
You're going to be like, French bread pizza!
I'm like, let's go.
Yes, and they do have, like I said, they do have an event now that they started running where you can go and test the food. Like they have like a small buffet. It's all you can eat, all you can drink. And like I said, I really hope that becomes a tradition and they do that every year because I am totally doing that next year.
That's a very expensive thing, by the way.
It is. I know.
I saw the pricing for it. Yeah.
But I would do it just because like I know I'm not going to get everything I want to try the night that I go. So like I want to try everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is if you stay on property at any one of the resorts in Universal Orlando has to offer, you can head over to Cabana Bay with your hotel key and check out Chucky's Twisted Playground, a photo op area for hotel guests only, where you can get an Instagram worthy pic with the killer doll himself.
Pretty cool.
I like that. All right. So now we are on to some of the tips and tricks that I've written out because I've been going for so long. So. And I feel like this is something that people always ask, especially in like the Universal groups I'm on. They're like, I don't know what to do. So I'm like, well, I'm going to put this out here. And, you know, if people are listening to this and they're watching this and they are planning on going, hopefully they get some, you know, inspiration from this, you know. So the first tip is make a game plan, which should be obvious, but there's a lot of people who don't make a game plan for the event, or they just think they can go and wing it. And then they're like, oh my God, I had such a bad time. And I'm like, well, did you plan your event out? And they're like, no. They're like, no, I just kind of was like, I just thought I could walk in and like just go in everything. And I'm like, yeah, no. It's the only time I will say this is when Universal is like Disney, where you need to plan this event out. Like when people are like, oh, like if you're going to plan a Disney vacation, like you need to plan it out. Like, you know, this is the only time I'll say that with Universal. It's like, yeah, this event, you need to kind of have a bit of a game plan. Unless you're planning on going multiple nights, then you can probably just wing it. But if you're going for one night, take all of this advice as if you're going for one night and one night only.
Yeah.
So yeah, just where you're going to stay, which ticket's going to work best for you, whether you want to do the stay and scream or get express passes, anything like that. The second one, bring a poncho. Because this is Florida in the middle of hurricane season. Bring a poncho. It'll probably rain. Jim knows Halloween Horror Nights 2021. We got soaked in the beginning of the event. Completely drenched from head to toe while we were standing in line for the Beetlejuice house. So yes, and then the number 3 is get there early. Whether you're planning on doing the stay and scream or waiting at the entrance, try to arrive at least 1 to 2 hours before the event opens. The reason why, if you're doing stay and scream, if you already have a ticket to get into the park, an annual pass, a regular day ticket, if you try to get there at 5 p.m., you're going to be really far back in that line. And it does move fast, but still, you're going to be really far back in that line. If you get there at 3, you have a better chance of being one of the first few people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
For regular general entry, if you don't have a day ticket, the earlier you get there, the quicker you get through the turnstiles into the event and you can start heading towards the house that you want. The later you get there, trust me, that entryway in front of Universal fills up. It fills up. You will round that corner going over that bridge and you'll see a crowd of people just standing there and you're like, oh, I should have got here early. The earlier you get there, the better chance you have of getting through the turnstiles quicker and then getting to whatever the first house is that you want to go to. So Get there early. That's my tip here. Number 4, know which houses you want to hit first and which ones you don't mind waiting for. You'll probably be waiting in line for at least an hour on peak nights, so that's Friday and Saturday. Whichever house, they usually release the map pretty early on, so you'll be able to look and see where everything is going to be. If not, make a list of which house you care about from what they have on their website. Grab a map when you walk in the door, and then make your decision from there how you want to go around the park. Because if you try to do the ones that you really want to do, especially if they're super popular IPs later in the night, you're going to be waiting for like 2-3 hours. And you're going to be spending the rest of your night in that line. So hit the ones. Yep, hit the ones you want to do first. If you want the best chance of getting through the event without paying for express passes, go on a Sunday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I used to go on weekdays before I got a big girl job. And that was most of the time when I went on weekdays, I would get through everything. I would get through every house. So
yeah, it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier because people got to work. So
I can attest to that.
Yeah, people got to work, so they're not out, at the Halloween Horror Nights on Friday and Saturday. Yeah, you probably will be waiting in line. Number 6, stay hydrated. Don't be afraid to purchase a Freestyle cup so you can get free water all night. Now, I know that some of the food booths and regular food stands that are always there do offer free water, but I know last year they ran out of free water, which was kind of shocking. So don't bet on that. Water bottles are mad expensive at the park and at this event. I think I spent $7 on the water I bought last year. Mm-hmm. So they're mad expensive. So I would absolutely advise purchasing that Freestyle cup that they have, whether it's just one for the park or it's one for the event. They have Freestyle machines just about everywhere. You can just pop the cup there and get free water. It's going to be hot.
If you have a Freestyle cup from a past trip to Universal, you can bring it with you and use that at the Freestyle machines, no problem.
Yes.
You can even roll for the water, and then you can pay the I want to say $6 or $8.
No, it's more than that now. It's I think it's 12 or something, 12 or 13 to reactivate it.
To reactivate it? Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's because I was getting a discount. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 12 or 13, I think, because I know that we reactivated last time I went. But still, that's not bad. You don't have to reactivate it multiple times throughout the night. You just do it once, and then you have it for the rest of the day. So, okay. And then this one is a big one because this is a question everybody likes to freaking ask. So it's number 7 is do your research beforehand if you're unsure of something. So is it too scary for me? Will it be too scary for my kids? This is especially the Universal group that I'm part of on Facebook. I swear, as soon as Halloween Horror Nights season kicks in, there's 800 parents are like, can I bring my kids to this? My kids are scaredy cats. Do you think I can bring them to this? No. If they're scaredy cats, then I would not advise you doing it. And again, my main point is only you know your limits and only you know your children's limits or what your children have told you their limits are. If your child is telling you they're terrified and they're scared of everything, I wouldn't take them to Halloween Horror Nights. If you jump at the sound of a door closing, you might want to, do some research and see if you can do this. You can watch videos on YouTube. I know everybody says it's not the same as actually being there. I'm aware. I know. But you can watch videos on YouTube. There's plenty of resources on YouTube. You can watch videos of past events, or you can watch videos usually after the first weekend that it's open. A ton of YouTubers will have walkthroughs, not full walkthroughs of the houses, but they'll have walkthroughs of the houses, and you'll be able to get the gist of what's in the house. So again, only you know your limits. And if you are in doubt, it does not hurt to look up videos and look at the event itself. And if you look at the event and you go, don't buy the ticket. Simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's always good to do your research.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next few tips are going to be about the Stay and Scream area. So number 8 is if you're doing Stay and Scream, look online or ask around to find out where those areas are located and what houses are in proximity to those areas that will be available. definitely something to do before you go, because there's nothing like getting to the park wanting to do Stay and Scream and being like, I don't know where the Stay and Scream areas are. I don't know what houses are open during the Stay and Scream. And you're walking around the park to try to find where you want to go. And it's getting closer and closer to 3 where they start roping things off and you can't get to certain areas. It's happened to me before. It's happened to me and my friends and my family where we've tried to do Stay and Scream and we can't, like, get to the area we want to get to. And it always sucks when I see it happening to other people and they're like walking around. So usually, again, YouTubers will tell you where the Stay and Scream areas are. You can also look on social media, Twitter, Facebook. Someone will post somewhere in some universal group. Stay and Scream areas are boom, boom, boom. They will probably be changing this year because Kid Zone is closed. It does not exist anymore. So they'll probably be changing this year. So it's good to keep an eye on where they might be. I know I'm looking every, like, I know I'm going to be looking every single like day leading, like once the event is open to see if anyone posts about it. So I know before. So I'm like, okay, these houses are in proximity to this, this Stay and Scream area. Let's wait there. Just because, again, they do start roping things off the closer it gets to 3 p.m. They start roping things off and there's certain areas of the park you won't be able to access. So it's just something good to keep in mind. Number 9, get there early. Like I said before, the earlier you arrive, the sooner you'll get into the house when it opens. You don't want to be the person that arrives at exactly 5 p.m. and then, you're in the very, very back of the line. Then there's be prepared to stand for at least an hour or sit, but keep your spot. Go to the bathroom beforehand, buy any drinks or food before, and get cozy. If you get there at 3 p.m., you'll be standing there until 5:45. Definitely grab your food, your drinks, take your bathroom trip early if you can. Obviously, if you have to go do those things, no one's going to stop you. They will let you out to go use the bathroom. They will let you out to grab some food. But it does become a bit of a hassle for everybody that's waiting if you're like constantly elbowing people out the way to get out because you want to go grab a drink. It's like, grab your drinks and your food before and pop a squat and get comfy. If you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go. No one's going to be mad at you. But I've been in Stay and Scream area lines where people keep like getting up and going to get some food because they're hungry and then coming back with like food for their friends and their family. And you're like, okay, you could have done this before. You could have done this before. You could have all grabbed your food and then you keep pushing me out the way to get to the thing. So it's definitely just advisable to just have everything prepared beforehand so you can just sit. I've seen people do it. They grab their food, they go into the Stay and Scream area and then they pop a squat and they start eating. So it's the best way to do it. So you're not having to figure out where you were standing in line. Which leads me to my next point. Number 11, don't worry about exact placement too much, because once they open the houses, it does turn into a proper like line. But when you get to Stay and Scream area, it'll probably look like just a giant crowd of people more than likely. Like, don't worry about if you're standing on one side and then somebody like is in front of you. Oh, I got to push them out the way, because you don't know, once that line is open, you'll probably get funneled through. You could get in front of them. So there's no reason to like shove people out the way when you're just standing there for 2-3 hours. Just wait and see. And then, you'll get to the house on time. And then the last one is just something I've observed. I've never actually done this myself, but it's something I've observed in the past. If you do get Express Pass, don't use it on the first house you go to during Stay and Scream, because you usually get through those houses really quick. It doesn't matter where you are in line, you'll usually get in really quick. And if you use that Express Pass, and let's say you really like that house, you thought it was a fantastic house, you can't use it again. So now if you want to come back and go to that house, you have to wait in the regular line. I just think it's a little bit smarter that if you have an Express Pass and you do Stay and Scream, you would just go through the regular line the first time. And then if you like the house, you can just use that Express Pass again. Or if you don't like the house, but you're like, hey, we have it, you can just use the Express Pass. You don't have to wait super long for the house you didn't like.
Very true.
All right. And we're almost done with the tips here. So now this is just mostly like food, drink, and crowd control. Number 13 is if you drink alcohol. I would say, I don't like to say avoid things, but just so you know, the drinks at the booth are pre-mixed. They don't have a lot of alcohol in them, and they're very expensive. Very expensive. So if you do drink alcohol and you're like, oh, I want that souvenir cup, or oh, I want to get one of the specialty drinks, just know you're probably paying about $20 for just basically a slushie. If you're fine with that, that's okay. You can do that. But if you want a proper drink, Finnegan's in New York and the Simpsons bar in Krustyland are open. Finnegan's does not allow you to sit at the bar. However, you can grab your drink and go, but they won't allow you to sit at the bar. But the Simpsons bar, I believe, does. So if you're the kind that wants to sit, have a few drinks to kind of unwind, you can.
And if you want to get a drink, if you're getting one of those pre-made drinks, mainly just know you're getting it for the taste of it, which like isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I know like that what is it, the bog water that they did, I really enjoyed that one, and even though it didn't have a lot of alcohol, I was buying it just because it tasted really good.
Yeah, I liked the one that they had for Haunting of Hill House in 2021. I think it was called Nell's Cup of Stars or something like that.
Yes,
it was like tea. It was like almost like it was like, I don't want to say it was a Long Island iced tea, because it was only rum in there, but it kind of was like a Long Island iced tea. Like,
yeah, that one was really good, and I don't remember the name, but they had basically like gin and juice last year, and I love that one.
Yeah, so it's just it again, it's not necessarily saying like don't have them at all. I just know for me, like, I personally can't handle drinks that are super sugary. So if I have one of those, I have one and that's it. I can't drink any more than that because I'll be sick.
But if you like, don't buy it for the sake of like thinking you're gonna like get like a really good buzz off of it or anything. But if you just want to try it for flavor, then I'd say go for it. But like, within reason.
Of course. The next one that I have here, it might be an unpopular opinion. I love the food options that they have at this event now. They're too small of portions for the price that they charge you. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit heartier, I would say go to the crepe stand or go to any of the restaurants that are open. Like I know the burger place is usually open, the Richter's burger place. I know there was one time that I went there and I spent $20 on dumplings and they were like super small. And I was like, I spent $20 on freaking dumplings. And they're like, I literally ate all 4 of them in like 2 seconds. And I was like, they were delicious. They were delicious, great dumplings. But I'm like, you can make them a little bit. Yeah, like or charge less money. Like charge like $5 for that, because then I would be like, okay, that's normal, which I know they're not going to do because they're a theme park. But their food is good. Their specialty food is delicious. I'm not knocking it. They do a great job. It's just very expensive for the portion that you get. The portions are always really small, and the price is always very expensive. So it's just something to keep in mind if you're somebody who really likes to eat. If you want to budget for that, definitely like keep an eye on, social media and see how much they're charging for each thing. Who knows? This year their prices might be reasonable, but even looking at the pictures that we showed you on here, like, yeah, the portions, like that French bread pizza looked like it was not that big. I'm like, hopefully that thing's not that expensive, because I don't want to pay that much for a French bread pizza. And it's like, I can eat it in one singular bite. Like, well, but it's still good. It's still tasty. So you're not missing out on anything. You're definitely getting, a good tasting snack, but that's really what it is a snack. But there are the pizza fries, if you guys like those. I don't like the pizza fries, but those are usually a really big portion. They're massive.
Yeah.
Okay, and then despite what everyone says, there is no longer a formula to hitting every house in one night without an express pass unless you go on a weekday. Most nights are incredibly packed. Most of the peak nights are incredibly packed, and the wait times can be anywhere from 50 to 130 minutes long. So the best thing to do is go as early as possible. Head for your most anticipated house first, and then work your way over from there, and then just kind of accept that you may not see everything in one night. If you're only going once, you can't afford to get express pass. You got to kind of just take the hit, because this event has become so much more popular in recent years, especially after the pandemic. There's a lot of college kids in this area that go to the event multiple times, and so you'll have like giant groups of friends just coming in at like 9:00 at night, and the wait times will shoot up. There's a lot of people that come from overseas, a lot of people that come from Canada, a lot of people that come from different states. This event gets packed very quickly. So if you're not going to spend the extra money for a frequent fear or an express pass, and you're going to go on a peak night, you kind of just have to be like, I'm probably not going to get to go through every single house. It's just, you won't have the time. You won't be able to, like, you literally just won't have the time to do it. So I just say that because there's a lot of people that are like, there's a formula to hitting houses. Yeah, back in the day there was. Back in the day when I first started going, there was a formula, and it was always hit the back of the park first and work your way up to the front, because by the time you're done with the back of the park, everybody's making their way to the back of the park, and the front gets less people in there. Now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So that's just something I want people to know. And then also, contrary to popular belief, the rides can still have long wait times. Not always, but they can still have long wait times. Some people are like, oh yeah, the rides are usually empty. We walked by the Mummy one year. I think it was 2021. It was like a 2-hour wait for the Mummy.
Some people like to go, or like in the party, like to go just to get on those rides that they may have not gotten to go on during the day.
So yeah, exactly. So in the past, yeah, the wait times did used to be shorter, but now it's like they are very, very long. They can be very, very long. Even the Gringotts, I've noticed, like I used to be able to go to Halloween Horror Nights and ride Gringotts, and it was like the only time I could ride Gringotts, because during the day it was like almost a 2-hour wait. Now I've noticed it's been just as long at night. It's been just as long during the event. So I'm just saying, I know everybody, and I'm mostly saying that because people still say it on social media. Like I'll read like blogs and they're like, oh yeah, the rides usually have no wait time, and I'm like, I literally walked by the Mummy and it was a 2-hour wait during Halloween Horror Nights. So don't tell people that, because then they're gonna be like, well, they said it was no wait. No, it's a wait. It's a wait. And then again, speaking of Diagon Alley, if you do need a break from all the chaos and frights, you can head over to Diagon Alley if it's still open this year. They haven't announced it, but usually you can go to Diagon Alley because they're not allowed to put any spooky stuff in there. So you can go in there to get like a breather away from all of the super scary stuff. You can check out some of the shops. Back in the day, that's what I used to do, because I would never really get to go into the shops during the day because, again, crowded. Back in the day, I used to go to the shops and just kind of walk around, see what I could see. Nocturne Alley during that time of the night is pretty cool. If you're into Harry Potter, or if you just want a breather from people screaming in your face. And then number 18, stay with your party when in line for the houses unless it's an emergency. Most of the time it is. Most people are pretty good at, they don't really leave their party unless they got to go to the bathroom or anything like that. But I noticed last year there was a few more people that were just like breaking off from their party and then like pushing back into the crowd like afterwards. Like, I don't know if they changed, they changed their mind, they didn't want to go in the house, and then they changed their mind, they wanted to go in the house or something. Because I was like, why are you guys walking by? There's like a crowd of like 10 people walking by. Like, stay with your party, don't do the whole like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, so you guys go ahead and me and these 3 people will stay out and then we'll meet you there. Like, no, just all of you wait and then you can go in line together. It just makes more sense, and it's a little bit easier for everybody around you if you're not, separated like that. Number 19, which should be a given, do not touch, harass, or hit the scare actors. If that is your first reaction when you are at these events, don't go. Don't go. Yep. If you are the type of person who, when you drink alcohol, you throw punches, either don't drink or don't go. So that's just something I wanted to say, because I feel like it shouldn't be said, but it happens almost every year where somebody touches somebody inappropriately or smacks them. And also, this is kind of a personal caveat. Obviously, people are going to do whatever they want. Please stop asking the scare actors in the scare zones for selfies. That's not what they're there for. They usually will have sometimes have special areas to stop and take pictures, but it is something I've noticed in recent years has gotten more and more prevalent, where half the time I'll go through a scare zone and the majority of the scare actors are just standing there behind someone's phone taking a picture. And I'm like, I'm not getting scared. They're not doing their job because you've got to take a selfie with them. I know they look cool and it's awesome, but if you can't do it quick, if you can't walk by and be like, oh, selfie, quick, and then go, like some of these people want to do whole photo shoots with the scare actors. I've seen them. They're like, oh, I gotta get a picture like this, now a picture like this, now a picture. I'm like, no, let them do their job. That's what they're getting paid to do, is scare people, and they're not doing it because you're taking a selfie with them. That might be a controversial opinion, but I think that it is a little bit frustrating walking through scare zones and the majority of people are taking selfies with scare actors, because they think they look cool. And it's like, it's great that you think that they look cool, but they are supposed to be scaring people, and they're not scaring people right now. They're taking pictures with you.
Also, if the scare actor is wearing like an outfit that is more revealing. That's not an invitation for you to touch them, to come on to them, to do any, like, that's a human being. Like,
Yes.
because last year that became an increasing problem, not at Universal, but actually for over at SeaWorld. There was a particular scare zone. I don't remember where it was because I didn't go to the SeaWorld event last year. But there's like, I've heard there's more precautions being taken to protect the scare actors this year, which is great. But it does look like they're still going to be wearing like similar outfits to what they did last year, and people were very disgusting about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen some of the costumes that they've had to wear at Howl-O-Scream, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, it's like a little racy for
a
Halloween event.
There's one particular area where it's like, I guess it's intended to be that way. I don't see the like scare factor of it. I think they're just kind of like throwing their scare actors to the wolves, but that's a whole other conversation I could have. Yeah. But just like, that's not what you're here for. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't harass people. Just leave them alone. If you're scared and they come up to you, just run away. That's the best thing you can do. They might chase you, but they're not going to actually hurt you. They're literally just running. And then, number 20 is probably the best tip ever. Just have fun. The event's always a good time. Like Jim said, I don't think I've ever gone to a Halloween Horror Nights where I've genuinely had a bad time, except for the time I was sick because I got a cold and I just didn't feel good. The event's fun. And even when I don't get to see everything, I still have a good time. Like, I see people online complain, oh, I spent all this money and I only got to go through 5 houses. You got to go through half the houses at the event. Half of the houses. On a good night, that's like a feat of wonder, honestly. Like, so I personally think that it's just so much better if you just go there and you just enjoy the event. Whether you like to go through the houses, you want to go through every single house and you want to buy an express pass to do that, you want to just go there and watch the shows and walk through the scare zones and ride the rides, you want to go there just to eat because the food's bussin'. The food is bussin'. Whatever it is that you want to do, just go there with the intention, this is going to be a good time. I'm going to have a good time today. And don't let anything bother you. If the lines are long, yeah, sometimes it sucks when you roll up and you go, oh man, that line's like 2 hours long. Yeah, just decide, do you really want to wait 2 hours for it? No? Okay. Go on to the next thing. So just have fun. And if you really end up going and you just realize that you don't like the event, there's no shame in saying it's just not for me. There's no shame in saying you just don't want to go again. And that's totally fine and totally valid. But just know that the whole purpose to go is to have fun. So, and the people that have been going to this event for years and years and years, they love this event. Like, I love this event. This event is like the highlight of my year. I look forward to it every year. As soon as we start getting into announcement season, I'm on top of the world. I love watching the videos. I love seeing the merch. It's exciting for us. So it is kind of one of those things where it's like, if it's not for you, that's fine. But just remember that there are people that this is for, and it doesn't mean the event is bad. It just means it's not for you.
Agreed. So, yeah.
That's all for the tips and tricks.
Yeah.
For HHN.
There we go.
So yeah,
so, have fun.
Have fun. If you do get to go this year, have a lot of fun. You can always reach out to us on social media and be like, yeah, I won. It was a good time. We are going to be there, in like probably the second or third week that it's open. Gonna have a great group of people. It's gonna be a good time. We'll try to get some footage while we're there. Take a video because we're probably gonna upload a little vlog about it. So that's pretty much it about this event and about this episode. This episode's done.
Yay!
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much again for listening to today's episode.
If you'd like what you hear and are afraid to miss an episode, you can catch us every Wednesday at noon on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you choose to listen.
Catch up with us over on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads at Dial H for Horror Podcast, and feel free to check out our Patreon for exclusive content under the same name. Once again, I've been Shay.
And I'm Gina.
Be safe out there, and we will see you all in the next episode.
Stay spooky.